Welcome to Blueprint Boost for Contractors, the podcast that's your go-to source for unlocking the secrets to successful marketing, gaining valuable insights, and growing your contracting business with less stress. Your host is David Brooks, and he's thrilled to be your guide on this journey. As a seasoned expert in the contracting industry, David understands the challenges you face. That's why each episode is crafted to provide you with actionable strategies and proven blueprints to boost your business to new heights.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the podcast. This is your host, David Brooks, powered by Contractor Rhino. We have a guest with us for this episode of the podcast, and I'll allow him to introduce himself.
Hey, what's up, everybody? First of all, David, thank you for having me on. Really glad to be here. What you guys are doing over there at Contractor Rhino is amazing. How you're helping your clients and support them, it's good to be a part of. So thanks for having me on.
No problem, no problem.
So my name's Jared. I'm one of the co-founders at Bitumio Asphalt software. I like to joke that I bring the nerd to the relationship with my partners. And so my background is software, user experience, but I have a heavy background in construction, more so on the residential side of things, building homes, specs, customer homes, real estate, things like that. So I bring a lot of construction background, including construction background in the software industry. But my partners, on the other hand, have 30, 40 plus years of asphalt experience. So we built Bitumio as a software that can help asphalt professionals really simplify and streamline their business ops. And yeah, glad to be here. Glad to talk about it.
All right, excellent. No, great to have you, Jared. We appreciate it. Can you give us an overview of just the software and how it serves asphalt contractors?
Yeah, sure. So a little bit of history. Like I said, my partners have owned an asphalt company for many years. They worked it in high school with Grandpa back when it was a single tank out of the back of a pickup truck, right? And they would drive 3 or 4 hours to fill it up once a week. They begged and pleaded with Grandpa to buy their first Silrite trailer, which they still have today. And so shout out to Silrite on the Steady Eddie trailer that they still have. Now they've got 4 distributor trucks that they run, but they still have the Silrite as kind of a sentimental thing. But they grew it from that little thing to doing 10 million plus a year in maintenance work. And through the course of that, let's call it the last 6, 7 years, they've reached out to me. We went to high school together. And so they reached out to me and said, hey, we really need to find something to make our lives easier. At one point in the very beginning, they were doing pen and paper. They were doing QuickBooks for all their estimating. But then they were struggling on the work order side, getting the information to the crews. And so we went through this process for 3, 4, 5 years of looking at software, testing software, demoing software, anything that was in the market that would remotely work for what we were trying to do, we used. And some of them we used for a couple of years, some of them we used for a few months. We looked at building some basic platforms using FileMaker or the like, right? Until finally, we picked a software, we met with the CTO, we met with the company, asked them to make some changes. We never really saw that flourish into what they really needed to operate their business. So probably about 4 years ago now, I had just sold a business. I owned a real estate company. I owned a vacation rental company. I sold that, and I started a commercial laundry business of all things, right? I never thought that I'd be in laundry, but I learned more about laundry and sheets than I ever wanted to learn. And I did that to now go back and support the company that I had just sold my vacation rental company to. And so I had this commercial laundry business. I had just sold that business, and I reached out to these guys and said, hey guys, I think it's time that we build you some actual software, something that's going to run your business, that's going to simplify your process, and that's going to really streamline and help an asphalt contractor from the ground up. And so that's where Bitumio came from, was after we looked and we tried and we played with and we used several out there. We ended up building this for a way that could really have an end-to-end impact on an asphalt contractor's business. And so that's where we start at the CRM lead level, right? How do we simplify capturing leads and storing that information, to creating estimates? We think that a software, philosophically should be very robust, but should also be very user-friendly and help you do the work that you have to do day in and day out. So we have some really cool tech on the calculation side of the estimates to put estimates together for you. Estimates become jobs. Jobs create work orders. You can schedule jobs. You can job cost jobs. You can close those out, push them to your accounting software for billing and invoicing and so forth. So we really just want to be the one platform that solves and manages all of your business operations.
And that's amazing. That's a really good backdrop and background of the story and how things all came together. Amazing. You never know what path life will you'll end up on. And it's
Yeah.
it's great because you were able to recognize the challenges and the needs that were there, and then you're able to create the solution to be able to help solve those problems, which is excellent. Now, with the solution, and now you're solving the problem, yeah, I guess users or people will want to know, is it easy to use?
Good question. Yeah. And that's the key, right? There's platforms out there that are like asphalt contractors that build a software to suit their needs, right? Um, and it's good, but it's still a contractor trying to be a software company, right? And vice versa, right? So when we set out to build this, we wanted to be a software company that was easy to use. And so I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because there's in our system, we try to do a lot of the calculation for you so that you're not trying to figure out tonnage. You're not trying to figure out travel time. You're not trying to figure out how long a job should take you, right? Like, there is a setup process to getting into our platform that may be a little bit heavier than some others out there, but that's what our team is here for, to walk you through that. And once you're set up and using it, our customer support, like on a day-to-day basis for our customers, is extremely low. Like, this was what was really shocking to me in the first year that we were like really live and had a lot of customers, was, oh crap, we actually pulled back some of our marketing because we didn't know how it was going to go, right, that first year, and supporting customers and how many requests we were going to have. And then we got through a lot of the summer, like, wow, we really don't need all of the support staff, right? Because it is user friendly. Once you're up in there and you're using it, the number of requests that we get from our customers is very low, because it is very intuitive, right? And very easy to use. And we're always like releasing new features to help make it more user friendly, make it more intuitive, and so forth.
That's great. Being able to have that ease of use, because yeah, like you said, sometimes it's a lot of great platforms and things that are out there, but it's, you get the feedback, or you hear the responses from users like, hey, this is, really robust, or it's powerful, but it's really not easy for me to use. And, I can't get it as the owner, or the staff can't get it. So this is nice.
Yeah, and I mean, you're always going to have that with any platform. And it really comes down to like adapting your process. This would be one of my biggest pieces of feedback to any contractor or company that's looking to migrate to using software is no platform out there is going to be 100% of what you want, right? And no platform out there is going to adapt to your current process. If you're going from like a pen and paper type process to software, like, we're not going to rebuild that process necessarily. Now, estimating and creating a job and scheduling and closing out a job, like, that process is the same everywhere, but how you do it is never going to be 100% within the software. So just be ready for some change, right? Be ready to adapt to the software as the software adapts to you as well. But if you're coming in into it. Just know that there's going to be process changes that are going to have to take place to make both sides fit into, a cohesive process on your side.
Yeah, it no, you simply stated it almost perfectly where it's going to be a process. If you're coming from pen and paper or something else, you're going to have what is some kind of learning curve or some kind of curve. But it's nice to be able to know that, hey, look, even though it may be a slight curve or a slight difference in framework and what we're used to, that we really dedicate ourselves to it, we can make this work. And I think it's like you said, adapting both things and marrying them together and being able to be willing to do that, because sometimes I've seen contractors pick a solution and it's really great, and you sit down and sometimes I've tried to help, but it's like you have to be willing to meet me halfway for me to be able to help
Yeah.
train you on how to the ease of use.
Yeah. Yeah, there's got to be give and take, right? The software's got to be able to adapt to your needs, but likewise, you've got to be able to adapt to what the software is trying to perform and trying to do as well. So, yeah, there's got to be a little bit of give and take on both sides for sure.
Definitely. So when we think about the platform within itself, how does it help contractors be able to improve their efficiency and productivity on job sites?
Yeah, good question. This is where I feel like we really step in. So you think of like I joke, I laugh at pen and paper because people ask me who's your biggest competitor, and honestly, pen and paper. Now there's obviously some software platforms out there that I would also consider, but we migrate a lot of people from a pen and paper or say a QuickBooks process into ours. And what they see is right off the bat creating estimates from the field, right? You have an iPad, you have your phone, you're able to go out, meet with the customer, create an estimate, shoot it out to the customer for signature directly within the field. A couple months back, I was with a customer. We were out looking at some sites. We were kind of going through the platform. He was showing me his process, and his iPad died out in the field. And he drives a Tesla though. So we're in his Tesla. We pull up his browser in his car on the screen, right? We do the whole estimate from his Tesla screen and send it to the customer sitting there in the parking lot, right? So being able to like do this and navigate it from anywhere is a pretty cool thing. The flip side of this is, you're getting estimates out faster, you're sending it to the customer for signature. They don't have to print it off, they don't have to scan it and fax it back, right? So it's a much better customer experience. But on the flip side, for any proposal that's won, we create what we call a job. And that job automatically generates a work order. And that gets pushed down. Once you throw that job onto the calendar, it gets pushed down to the guys in the field via a mobile app on their phone. So now every individual on the job site, if you so want it, if you choose to, can have their schedule, can have the work order, the address, pictures, notes, images, right, about that job. Across everybody's working off the same information. So this might be some egg on our face, but a couple of weeks ago we had a glitch in our mobile app where only certain user types could see all of the jobs. And then we made a patch within 24 hours, it was fixed. But during that 24 hours, we had a customer be like, man, I didn't realize how dependent we were on your mobile app for all of our crews to have all of the information. And I had a flashback of like all of the calls I used to get every day, like, where are we going? What are we doing? Right. And so like being able to just push that out to eliminate a lot of those calls and those messages or text threads or whatever about job information is a huge efficiency gain that we see with our customers.
That's great. Being able to have that and it helps with the efficiency and you doing it from the Tesla for the car, man. That's funny. That's a unique story right there.
Yeah, it's kind of a last minute, fly by the seat of our pants
Yeah.
situation. But hey, it worked out. It was fun. It was fun to do.
All right. So now that you have the platform and have all this information available, how can asphalt contractors leverage the data and analytics inside of the platform to be able to make better decisions?
So I started my career in digital analytics. So when you think about, you go to a website, most companies, if they have their stuff together, they're using like a Google Analytics or Adobe or something. Um, they know so much about you, like more than you probably want to believe that they know, right? But they know so much information about you simply by going to their website. And then when you like log in, they know more about you, right? And so having that background, it was important for me to integrate some of that information into our platform. So we have a dashboard that not only gives you like trending year to date, month to date type sales numbers, but it starts to dig into where is the most of our revenue coming from what types of products, right? How's our salesman doing? What's their close rate? How much revenue have each of our salesmen won? We break it down. When you schedule a job, we can break down an estimated material need for each day of that job. We go into job costing as a huge thing. So we set out to really understand your numbers, right, from a contractor side. That's one of the things that we had with the platform. A previous platform was okay in what it was doing, but their reporting numbers never matched up to what they should have been, what they are actually are, right? And so we set out to really dig into those numbers and make sure that contractors had a good view of their business as a whole. So we have the ability to job cost jobs once they're completed. And now we can compare proposed amounts, what you had in the estimate, to actual amounts. And we can show you that for all of your paving jobs, for example, you consistently underestimate your labor costs, right? You need to dial those up a little bit to make sure you're covering your costs. Material, trucking, equipment, things like that, you're doing great. But for labor, you need to dial those up because it's eating into your profit margin for your paving jobs, right? We break that down across all of your product types. So yeah, we have all of this data. We should do something with it to help you make better business decisions, right? And project out where you're going to be.
That's great to be able to have that data and be able to get that kind of information because that's so important. A lot of times you're operating inside of the business and you may not be able to have that much transparency into your cost, the bidding, different things like that. And being able to have that information is help with efficiency and being able to streamline things moving forward. That's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. And have it like quickly available, right? As soon as
Yep.
you job cost, all of those numbers update. There's no refresh, there's no delay, right? To make sure that you have all of the information that you need. And then one thing that we get asked a lot is, what if we decide to leave your platform? What happens to our data? You can export all of that same data out of our system. And we do that so that you can build whatever other dashboards you want, right? If we don't have a report that you're really looking for, we can help you build an Excel report. Data Studio, Google has a free dashboarding tool. And so we can help you build any sales report or job funnel report or anything like that you want to see as well.
That's great. And not holding that data hostage is also.
Yeah, we've been there. We've been there with a few platforms, and we'll never hold your data hostage. That's not how we roll.
That's good. Now, with the platform, any future developments or features that we can expect coming down the line?
Man, where do I start? So right now we're really, really focused on how do we enhance the overall user experience across our platform. While at the same time, we're building some really cool things around time tracking. So we've been asked for time tracking for the better part of a year and a half, I would say. Our problem with time tracking is like it's a rabbit hole. How far do you go? It's not just a clock in, clock out. It's Now, how do we integrate time tracking directly into the job costing that I just talked about? So you can associate hours to a job, and then you automatically job cost against those hours. So your foremen don't have to write down people's hours every day or equipment hours every day, right? We just want those to flow directly into job costing. But then you also need it for payroll, right? So how do we get that to flow into your accounting system to cover your payroll needs? But what about non-job related time, like shop time or cleanup tasks or something, right? So there's a lot to time tracking that we don't just want to build a time tracking. We want to build it correctly that, again, is going to simplify and streamline workflows that people will actually use rather than just having it as a feature set. So time tracking is a big one. We want to be the all-in-one shop. And so we're building out some cool CRM capabilities around, I think of it as like audience segmentation. That's kind of what my head, a prior life goes to. But essentially what you're going to be able to do is say, show me all of the jobs that all of my paving jobs that I did last year, right? In its most simplistic form. We're going to spit out a list of people. Now you can say, I want to send an email to this list of people to say, hey, now it's time to seal coat your parking lot or driveway or the job that we did for you last year, right? And you can send these mass email campaigns directly from our system, which then they'll be able to respond to that email, fill out a form that comes back in as an opportunity into Bitumio. That then creates a proposal in Bitumio. So now we're going to be able to complete this whole round trip, right, of really owning your marketing funnel, your sales funnel, and your job coordination. And then I'd be amiss if I didn't say something about AI. That's a buzzword right now. Everybody's thinking about AI. We've got some really cool tech coming out. I'll give a shout out to Attentive AI. They do some really cool things on their side of like measuring and segmenting blueprints or takeoffs or aerial images and whatnot. We're taking a little bit of a different spin, right? And doing it in a fully AI platform that's integrated into our proposal. So you can hit measure with AI. We'll count all the stalls. We'll count all the ADA stencils. We'll count all the arrows. We'll segment blacktop from concrete, give you measurements, right? Allow you to override those measurements. And then that flows directly into our platform to build the proposal for you. So lots of cool things on the roadmap. Obviously, some a little bit more complicated than others on the AI side. But we really want to push the bounds of what's possible and push the bounds of simplicity and feature set within our platform.
That's excellent. Being able to have those capabilities come inside of the platform would just make it so much easier for your users, for potential contractors that come on board. And AI is that buzz topic, that buzz.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
being able to integrate some of that into it's just going to be able to help streamline the ability to be able to just get more information, get more value out inside of the platform.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
So we got all of this really great detailed information in regards to the software. Could you share one of the success stories from any customer that came on board with the platform and it just changed things for them?
Yeah. So just a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to a customer. He signed up. So going back to your how hard is it to use? This guy was like the ideal client, the dream person, right? He signs up, creates an account. We reach out to him. Hey, what can we do for you? He's like, no, I think I got this, right? And that's always a red flag for us because people that know I got this typically tend to fizzle out, but this guy was awesome. We called him and chatted with him a few times. He had a couple questions getting set up. But in the end, he was off to the races, really self-sufficiently, right? Well, we talked to him a couple of weeks ago. He had a question about how to do things and had a feature request, which we love, by the way. And he's like, man, I've done all of my proposals. I just won upwards of $1 million contract and I did the whole thing within your platform and we're just having a banner year, right? And so it's really good to hear that, yes, we do really well with the mom and pop, maybe the sole owner operator type companies, but we're also killing it with the larger companies that are doing, high 6-figure, 7-figure type contracts and be able to push all of that through and manage that through our system. We got another customer that came on really wanting to grow and scale, obviously. I talked to them a little while ago. They're up 90% over last year. They've been growing pretty consistently at about a 30 to 40% clip year over year. This year, they're up 90% on not only sales, but the amount of work that they were able to accomplish with the same amount of equipment, but just being able to manage the workflow and have it in the app, have the guys go out, be self-sufficient, which is a big thing, right? Is I have my foreman that now get all of the information that I have about a job in the app. They can show up, they can go to work, they can manage their crews, they can get the job done, show that it's complete. Like they can do all of that themselves. And I don't necessarily have to be a part of every single job. And that was really big for them to really kind of break out and continue to grow and scale. So there's a handful of, not a handful, there's a lot of stories that we have about people simplifying, being able to send more proposals, win more proposals, right? But on the other side, now how do we systematically grow our workforce, right? Not necessarily through more people, but through better process that we're allowing as well.
Yeah, having, better process is so important. Because if your process is off, then a lot of other things just also fall by the wayside. So that's good.
Yeah, like throwing bodies at a problem is not always the best solution, right? And for a platform that costs, a few $100 a month, it's, depending on the number of users, it's way cheaper to have a process in place that can eliminate a body than just throwing another person to click a few more buttons or to hand paper back and forth or something like that, right? So yeah, having a defined process that operates smoothly. That same company, I was talking to their office manager, and she said this year is way different than last year. Even last year, every day seemed like a crap show, right? This year is way smoother. Things are getting done way faster. I'm able to bill everything way more efficiently, right? And so have the same people in place, but just eliminating a lot of the unnecessary tasks that they do, right? Because it's now centralized into a platform. It's way easier than throwing additional bodies and managing employees and having to staff and et cetera.
Yeah, it's definitely so much so much value in packing that what you just said. And even before, not to try to look over those customer wins, that's huge. Significantly being able to have changes inside the business by being able to use the platform and having it work for, as for contractors business is so important because you take advantage of an opportunity and you're excited, and then you get in there and it's not, what you maybe you need, or it just doesn't work for you, and then that kind of sets things back because time is valuable. So being able to have those wins and those success stories is great.
But to your point, like across any company, how many times do they get a phone call and they're like, "Oh, you guys did such an amazing job. I love you guys," right? Across any organization,
Yeah.
it's a lot of times it's the rather, right? You guys sprayed seal coat on my driveway. You need to fix this. Or you guys, there's a hump in my asphalt, right? I need you to fix this. You know what I mean? And so just being able to get success stories without necessarily having to go out and pull them out of people. We did a release just yesterday and somebody texted me and said, "Dude, I'm loving the new feature." So those things are rewarding, right? And we love to hear from our customers when they have, good or bad to say, so that we can better the platform even more.
No, getting that feedback is crucial because that is, like you said, you could better the platform. And it's nice to be able to get that feedback because sometimes you could be doing a great job or things could be going good, but not being able to hear that, you won't never know. So
Yeah,
collecting feedback is super important.
sure. Yep, agreed.
Mm. So do you have any thoughts or advice for asphalt contractors who may be hesitant to adapt to, new technology, new platform?
Yeah, I kind of touched on this before, but just kind of reiterating a little bit, I would say don't try to eat the whole elephant at once. Take it slowly. What is your pain point? Is it estimating? Great. Start using the estimating portion of a platform and dial that in, get it right. And then let's focus at scheduling, right? Is scheduling your pain point, right? Is it getting information out to the crews, right? So don't try to do everything at once. Um, in addition to that, we have a lot of people that are like, oh, this is going to be a lot of setup work. Well, sure, if you try to set up all 100 services that you've ever done in your life, right? Even though 80 of them you've only ever done once, right? Focus on the 20 that you do day in and day out. And then as the need comes up, let's start implementing some of those others, right? So don't feel like you have to go 100% on the setup process. Don't feel like you have to go 100% on utilizing every feature from day one, right? Let's solve your biggest pain points first and streamline that process and make it so that you're not feeling that burn right away. And then let's layer on some of the others. But so I think that's the one of the bigger things. And then the other thing, like I talked about earlier, is just know that there's going to have to be a change in process to some degree, right? It's a new system to you, unfamiliar buttons to you, right? So just know that you're going to have to change some of your process to adapt to the software and vice versa. As you get into it and have feature requests and whatnot, the software should be adapting to you as well.
That's good. And now that we covered that, are there any notable integrations or other partnerships that are in the software?
Yeah. So um, the biggest ones that we have, say, direct integrations with QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop. Um, we want to run your business operations over here, kind of end to end, full stop. But then accounting is its own beast, right? And so we integrate with those accounting softwares where we can push information directly into QuickBooks, create customers, create line items, create invoices, et cetera, automatically so that you don't have to copy and paste all that. Then you can invoice, manage your accounts receivable, your P&L, balance sheet, all of that directly within your accounting software. We have ways that we can push data to third parties. So I'm not sure how familiar everybody is with something like a Zapier or a Pabbly. So via APIs, these are intermediaries, let's call them. So they sit in the middle. So we sit over here, and then Zapier or Pabbly sit in the middle, and then thousands of integrations. Think of HubSpot and Pipedrive and accounting platforms sit over here off to the other side. So we can push data into Zapier, who will then push data into any of these other platforms over here. So while we don't have like a direct integration, we can easily get data from our platform into Zapier and then into HubSpot, Pipedrive, Zoho, any CRM that you're using, any accounting platform that you're using that they support, we can integrate with, thousands and thousands of platforms at that point.
Oh, that's perfect. Being able to have those integration partners is excellent. Just makes it all the more easier for users inside of the platform.
Yeah, for sure. And we realize that there's other needs, right? We might not solve every need today. Hopefully we get there eventually. But having those other platforms and be able to communicate back and forth with them is a big requirement for people to make sure that we're not, dropping the ball or introducing more work of copy and paste into those other platforms.
Mhm. Good. Any final thoughts or advice you'd like to share with the listeners?
Um, I wanted some knowledge from David coming back into this. I feel like I've talked, but I feel like you have a lot of insight into software and some of the same questions that we have. So before I get into that, like layer onto what I've said, what do you see as kind of the biggest challenges that contractors face when they're adopting software? Um, and then secondly, what are the biggest needs that you see from your clients that you're supporting that are needed in a software platform?
Yeah, that's a good question. So what I see is getting a contractor getting excited about a software solution, but knowing that they have a lot on their plate, a lot of things going on, they may sign up for the software, and they may walk through a demo or overview with a representative, and then they get busy, and then they pass it off to someone else.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that person wasn't on the onboarding call, on the initial demo, so they have no clue what's going on. And so they're trying to figure things out, and trying to get information from the owner or co-owner who hasn't really fully dived in yet, has taken the initial step, but hasn't really, put 2 feet into the water. They've just only been able to put 1 foot in.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I would say when you're going to make a choice, uh, really dedicate at least you and someone else, that can also go through the process with you. Or if it's going to be John's job or Mary's job to be able to use this and keep everything going for you, make sure you involve them. I think a lot of times the decisions are made, and the people that actually might be doing the day to day are included in that. They're just
yeah,
included in the afterthought, which is like, oh, we made this choice and here you go. And it's wow, like, okay, how do who's my point of contact? Because and that's sometimes like, who do I get in
yeah,
contact
yeah,
with? Who's our representative? Like, when's billing coming out? Like, just different things like that. So I see as roadblocks and hurdles in the process, and when picking a platform or really investing uh, inside a software solution. So that's what I would say is, get the right team members involved on board, let them know what your thoughts and where we're going with it, and that will be a ton of help for them. And then I would say on the other side of that, a lot of the roadblocks is not having things either be written down on paper, or just unorganized across the variety of different systems, or just with people. And so being able to consolidate and get that information all in one central spot, or it could be moved to one central spot, is what I see, where I've had conversations and it's like, hey, we want to go with this solution and it integrates with QuickBooks and it does this and it does that. But yet we have before we were kind of using something over here, we're kind of using something over here.
yeah,
And it's like, hey, we know that if we make this change, we make this jump, this is going to make things better for us. But to be able to do that, we have to get some of the missing pieces from these other systems or from pen and paper, and we need to organize that. And sometimes that's what I see as a big hurdle is, hey, we're ready to move forward into the future. We're ready to streamline things, but yet we don't have everything together. So we get excited, we jump on a call, we're talking to people and we're like, yeah, but we still don't have everything together. Stuff is still tangled up over here. And then
yeah,
that kind of just pushes the process back because now you have company or solution that's willing to help the business, to be able to help them streamline things, move things forward. But now, because you don't have all this information together, or you haven't really fully thought out what that really looks like and being able to integrate or move everything over, now you're kind of left back at square one again. And
Yeah.
trying to, come up with a timeline. Now you have to talk to 5 different people. So it's kind of vague of when this actually, what is the actual date where we can flip the switch over. So I would say just thorough planning, making sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's, and to be able to make sure that you think about those little nuances and things as you're making adjustments inside of the business. That's just going to help you move forward.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with both of those. The first comment about not having the key people in on the conversation, like if they're not bought into the idea and now you're telling them, there's immediately a wall that goes up, like, whoa,
Yeah.
why wasn't I involved in this, right? So it always causes friction from the person who's getting told they're going to be using a new platform, if they're not involved in that conversation up front. And then that obviously boils back up to whoever your contact was and to us. And then we're trying to break down barriers from day one. So 100% on that is let's involve as many people as possible. Happy to do as many trainings as possible, right? To get people up to speed and get everybody bought in on this. So I think you're 100% on all of that, is thinking beforehand how you want to do it and what you want to do. And then let's bring in the right people from the organization to make sure that it's happening in a systematic way, right? And we're rolling this out properly.
Yeah. And I think that like you touched on, and I touched on it, involving the right people, but also something, a word of advice for those listening is, you may have that one centralized person that's going to use the software and be a rock star for your business. But what would be helpful is to have that person either leave some notes, or just we have all kind of technology now. It could be a recording, it could be a Loom video of an overview of what they do when they're inside of the software and moving things along in each phase of the software solution. Because that's helpful, because if that, sometimes what happens, I've seen it happen too, is that person goes on vacation or that person gets sick, and then
Right.
somebody else tries to pick it up and say, okay, I don't know what's going on here. I have no clue where to find this. So they may not need to know how to operate each day in and day out, but just enough to be able to know where things are.
To answer a question, right?
Yes,
Like,
right.
hey, what's the status of this proposal?
Yep.
I don't know. It's
Yep.
sitting in a file on so and so's desk. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely, please take that advice. Super helpful. Well, Jared, thanks so much for joining us. We definitely appreciate it. It's been a great conversation. Can you let the audience know where they can find you at?
Yeah, so right behind me, Bitumio.com. I know it's a different name than most people are familiar with. I give gold stars to whoever can pronounce it correctly the first time. We thought we were clever coming up with Bitumio, right? Because bitumen is the black ingredient that goes into asphalt, right? And then IO is a common software acronym. So anyway, Bitumio is how it's said. You can call it whatever you want as long as you subscribe. But yeah, find us bitumio.com. You can sign up for a free trial. You get 14 days to get around, play with it. We help you get onboarded, and yeah, reach out if you have any questions. I really appreciate the opportunity, David. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. We appreciate having you. Everybody make sure to go check out the website, reach out to Jared, and tune in for the next episode. Until next time.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Blueprint Boost for Contractors. We hope you found today's insights and strategies valuable for your contracting business. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and please leave us a review. Your feedback helps us bring content that truly matters.